We know you're trying to make it and you have a lot of things to do. If you don't have a job right now, then of course your work is to try and find one. And if you're already employed, then we know that you'd like to do things better. So here on this program, our aim is to help you by presenting ideas, topics, projects, initiatives, and information that help you to get into, get along, and get ahead in the workplace. And one of the things that you need to get ahead in the workplace, especially if you are a small or medium-sized entrepreneur, is to know how to market yourself and your products. So today's topic is marketing for small and medium enterprises. And in studio with me are the amazing Lizzie Phillips of Cavara Holdings and Janine Beattie of Optimum Business Support. All right, so welcome to both of you here to the workplace on Resonance 104.4 FM.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, so let's begin with you, Lizzie. If you just introduce yourself to us and tell us a bit about yourself, your professional background, and what you do with marketing.
Sure. Well, I'm Lizzie Phillips. You've already said that I'm amazing, but say thank you very much. I run my own company called Cavara Holdings. We also provide training. So I run a training company just by Spittal Square by London Liverpool Street. Anything from health and safety, Microsoft skills, and also marketing. So I'm the marketing speaker there. I also am a marketing author of Lizzie Phillips's Marvellous Marketing Manual, which is available on Kindle. And I'm a bit of a marketing geek, really, but a lot of my techniques are marketing offline rather than online.
All right. And Janine, if you just introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi there. Thanks ever so much for having us on. I run Optimum Business Support. I've been working for myself for the last 3 years, and my aim is really to work with small and medium-sized businesses to market their business, and in particular harnessing the power of social media and making that effective.
All right. So we have a good balance here between the online and the offline. Okay, so let's get straight into it first with a definition of marketing. What is marketing?
Oh, blimey, where do you start with that one?
At the beginning.
Well, marketing for me, it can encompass lots of different things. So it just depends on the actual person and what they want to start with. So for some people, it might be to do with increasing brand awareness. It might be to do with increasing sales. It could be publicity. It might be to develop their own customer core base that they already have. And you need to really start and think about reason why you're doing marketing in the first place. Janine and I were discussing this on the way in, and we felt that lots of people start marketing because they feel that they should do it, not necessarily because they want to do it, or they can't really work out why they need to do it in the first place.
All right. Mm-hmm.
I think also you feel that you have to market your business and you feel that you have to market yourself across a lot of areas, so traditional based marketing versus online marketing, and some people spread themselves quite thinly on that front, so it's really about sticking to one thing or a few things that will work for your business. And it's also important to note that every business is different, so therefore radio advertising may not work for one business, but it will be very successful for another business, for example.
And presumably you'll tell us, how to cut down to the nitty-gritty to figure out exactly how you get there. Not necessarily here on the program, but if anyone contacts you as a result of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so begin with the marketing do's for us.
Okay, so I always like to start, one, working out what your actual marketing budget is, and then two, working out who your customer is. So I'm going to talk you through about how to work out what you necessarily should be spending on marketing. I like to use a principle of return on investment. So for whatever money that you're going to put in, you want to ensure that you get a return on it, like you would with any business. So I use the principle of that marketing should be 10 times the amount that you put in. So for every pound that you spend, you want £10 back. Or if you want to work out a way of being able to work out what you actually want out of marketing. So as we mentioned sales earlier on, and a good way of doing that is working out how much sales you actually want from a particular marketing campaign. So take, for example, if you want £1,000 worth of sales and your average price per sale is £200, you therefore know that you need 5 sales to be able to get that £1,000. Your conversion rate is 1 in 3, so therefore you now know that you need 15 leads to be able to create that £1,000 worth of sales. And from there, I personally then, when I work with people, I use that calculation to then work out what best marketing tool it works for them. So it could be email marketing, it could be social media, it could be telemarketing. But until you do that calculation, it's very difficult to work out what is the best solution for them.
I think also talking about where did you start with marketing, I think the thing that I tell everybody is you have to have a plan. And there is an old saying, is fail to plan to fail. And a plan for marketing doesn't have to be extensive. It doesn't have to be dozens of pages. It can be a simple one-page document. It covers the real basics of marketing, which are the 4 Ps, which is know your product, know your price, know the place that you're going to promote it and how you're going to promote it. And once you've got that, you then need to establish exactly who your ideal client is and where they are. And then when you know where they are, you can market to them. And if they're on Facebook, that's where you market to them. If they are on Twitter, that's where you market to them. If they are people who read publications and want printed matter, that's where you market.
But then how do you come to find out about them? Do you do surveys or how do you go about doing that?
Ordinarily, after you've done your 4 Ps, you can work out who your actual customer target base is. So you normally write something called a customer persona. And that really enables you to get inside the head of your current customer. It might well be that you've got 4, 5 different customers, but until you actually write for those customers, you don't know. So I've actually brought 2 examples with me from my book, if that's all right.
Of course.
So we at Cavara, we actually have 5 different customer personas. So we've got Knowledgeable Noel, Good Value Greg, Startup Sally, Marketing Mike, and HR Harriet. So I'm just going to read you the difference between Startup Sally and Marketing Mike. So Startup Sally is in her late 30s. She has decided to set up her own accountancy company after recently being made redundant. She wants to work part-time to fit in with childcare. She doesn't know where to start with marketing and has only a limited budget, but she's willing to work hard to get the job done. So that's Sally. You've got Marketing Mike. Mike is a business development manager for a railway company. He has 10 years experience in marketing, so he's not a beginner, but he knows he could look at other ways to promote the business. He wants to learn new techniques to improve his sales return on investment. So you can see very different types of customers, and how you write for those customers, again, is going to be very different. So for example, I wouldn't send introduction to marketing information to Marketing Mike because he might get a little bit offended. Conversely, you wouldn't send Marketing Mike's
advanced marketing tips or whatever.
To Startup Sally, because Startup Sally isn't going to necessarily be interested either.
But what I didn't get is how were you able to build the profile on them? This is what I don't understand. So I've attended events or so on before where they said first thing you need to know is who is your customer or who you want to target as your customer. And I think to myself, well, obviously the whole world. Yeah, and then they say, well, no, you have to, sort of refine it a bit, so that you know the age, where this person likes to be, that kind of thing. And I don't know how feasible that is, but to this date, maybe it is. But how do you find it out? That's what I'm asking. Do you do some surveys or what? How do you go about doing that?
The only thing I can use is my own experience, and having run a business for 3 years, it's taken me a long time to find that person. And because Lizzie and I network as well, also when you go networking and you're looking for a type of business owner, if you say, well, I'm looking for anybody is nobody.
Everybody.
But it's, you are looking for everybody. But for me, I went through a journey of trying to really identify who they were. And originally I thought it was anybody. Everybody needs social media. Of course they do. Yeah. But actually they don't. And I found that some people were embracing it because they felt they had to and it wasn't right for them. So for me, my ideal client is somebody, or for social media certainly, is somebody who understands and gets the value of social media and will see the value that I can add to it. Whereas if somebody's not on it, they're not my ideal client.
I got you. All right.
It is a process, it is a journey, and I think if you think you're going to identify them immediately straight off the starting blocks, you're wrong.
All right.
Because it will change.
All right. Okay, so you've told us the do's, and we like the 4 Ps. What about the don'ts? Don'ts for marketing.
Where do we start with that one? One of the top tips that I was going to mention, which is a do, is to invest in a good website.
Okay.
I think every business should have a website, and that is the starting point for them. The don'ts on that is think that you need to spend a lot of money on it, because you can have a really effective website and there's lots of stuff out there that's free, and I think we've got to do a lot of research and a lot of work on it. And also an important don't is actually spread yourself too thin and try and do everything. And that's very much the case in social media, is everybody will say you have to be on everything. You have to be on Twitter, you have to be on LinkedIn, you have to be on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, go for it.
And every 1,000 that they keep adding every day.
Yeah.
They keep just adding.
Yes. And also that can also be quite just obstructive as well, because you feel that you're spending all day putting stuff on there and actually some of them aren't working. And also we get distracted by new ones. So Pinterest, as an example, is fairly popular at the minute, and everybody's jumped on the bandwagon and thinks that that's where they need to be. But you have to remember that if your client is not on Pinterest, you shouldn't be there. And an example, actually, is a recent blog I read from Jeff Bullis last month. He used a celebrity, which I'll use if you don't mind. So Lady Gaga obviously has millions of followers, and she spent millions of pounds on trying to release her album last year, and she sold, I think, something like 300,000 copies in 2 weeks and spent millions. Beyonce did the complete opposite, and she saw that all of her 8 million fans were on Instagram and 53 million fans were on Facebook, and all she posted on her posts was surprise, and her fans were there and they wanted it, and she sold 800,000 copies in 3 days. So it was really... that's a free way of doing it effectively, but also what she did is she was speaking to her audience.
All right. But I mean, everyone is not going to be in, the Beyonce category with millions of followers.
No.
So let's take it down a notch.
You don't have to have millions of followers. You just have to have the right types of followers.
All right. So even if it's 10 or whatever, so 10 of your product, the 10 people following you, they know where to find it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You post where they are. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so you've brought in this social media dimension now, and we know that technology really has changed the way that marketing is evolving completely. You want to say anything about that?
Well, I went to a recent marketing show. It's called the TFM&A show at Earls Court. It's normally attended by lots of different marketing professionals. And they were saying there that we now see approximately 600 adverts every day, whether that's radio, email, TV. And it's really being able to cut through that noise, be able to stand out. Marketing doesn't have to be expensive. There's lots of... talk around that when you're thinking of marketing you have to spend thousands. You don't. Any marketing campaign just has to consist of 3 things. It's the right message at the right place at the right time, and if you get those 3 things right, then you're on to a winner. So to give you an example, if your car insurance is coming up for renewal, you've had a really bad experience with a car with your current provider, and something drops through the door, you're likely to give them a call. So it is very much about being there at the right time as well. Great.
Janine, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think this similar for social media marketing is right time, right place. And I have several examples that I could refer to, particularly on Facebook. Last year, I wanted to do something about eating healthily, and I have followed somebody on Facebook, and she was constantly posting stuff about, not diets, but, recipes and all this sort of stuff, and followed her for a long time and wasn't really ready to make the change in my life. And one day a post appeared, and it was a course that she was doing, and I just realised I am now ready to start this change, and so it was the right time, right place. But that's the other important thing about social media. It's not about hard selling, it's about giving stuff. And what I realised what she was doing quite consistently was giving away a lot of free stuff and hints and tips, and when I was ready I bought. So it is right time, right place, and right market message. And right message on social media as well. It has to be. So you don't want to sell, you want to hard sell on social media. It's all about giving, engaging, and getting everybody to talk about you, for you.
Correct. All right. So, Lizzie, is there... how do I put... Do you want to... If you were to give people 2 top tips, what would they be? So we got the 4 Ps. We got the right message, right place, right time. Make sure you have those. I've
got 2 favourites for me. So one is the power of cross-selling. So it actually costs 15 times the amount of money to be able to go and get new clients than it does to sell to your current customer. So being able to sell to your current customer database is the way to go.
So is that the definition of cross-selling?
Yes.
What is cross-selling?
Okay, so an example of cross-selling is, I'll use the example of our training company. So whenever somebody comes on our course, we always give them an evaluation form, which is a given for most training companies. So you say, have you enjoyed today? 4 out of 5. 5 out of 5, mark it. But we also put on there what other courses would you be interested in attending. So they then put a list, they tick the ones that would be interested in. So when that course then comes up, we actually mark it to those people that have already inquired about it. And that is cross-selling,
All right.
being able to give them more information on other things that you do.
Right. So 1, cross-selling, the power of cross-selling.
So
and
number
then
2 is email marketing. Now, I know that we receive lots of email marketing and lots of people say that it's been diluted, but it's still one of my favourites. Now, there are some debate about this, but for me, Tuesday at 11 o'clock is the best time to send your email. And the reason behind that is...
Let's note that down.
The best
11 a.m.
11 a.m. on a Tuesday. The reason behind it is Monday you're quite busy still catching up. Tuesday you've got a bit better frame of mind. And 11 o'clock we all go and have a cup of tea. So we sit down with our emails, we're a bit more open and receptive. If you're going to send out a survey though, Friday afternoon, because we're sort of winding down and we're more likely to be receptive to answering surveys.
All right. So everyone listening, prepare for your inboxes to be inundated on Tuesday at 11 a.m. All right. Did you want to give 2 top tips, Janine?
Yes. I think I mentioned it earlier, is trying to invest in a decent website. There are a lot of free options out there now that are being favoured by Google, so you don't have to go and spend a lot of money. I do some research. There's some great options out there. A website is extremely powerful. And another thing which I really like is testimonials and case studies, where you can give these to potential clients so they can actually really see what you've done, the actual work you've done, and the benefits that you've or how you've helped certain clients. So testimonials or case studies are really, really powerful to help get your message across because it's a real story.
All right, good. I wonder sometimes if in this whole big debate now about digital marketing and so on, if some of the essence of marketing is actually being lost. So, for example, some people think when they start off, okay, I have these cakes are the most fabulous cakes, they will sort of sell themselves. I don't know, do you see any difference or any meaningful difference in that approach, offline and online? Like, has the digital revolution helped to impact on that?
I think it certainly helps because it gets the message out a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's used effectively, your cakes will sell because everybody else will be talking about your cakes on a much quicker level than traditional based marketing.
Mm-hmm.
From a consumer point of view, I think social media has certainly helped the smaller business be using the example of cakes,
mm-hmm.
to be used about. In fact, I do actually know a cake lady.
You can say her name. Give her a little plug.
Name escapes me now, but if you follow my Facebook, she's on there.
All right.
Now what she does is she takes pictures of her cakes and puts them on, puts different special offers on. Again, it's very much about the right place, right time, right market. But without that social media, the customers that she's trying to get in front of, again, are going to be on social media. They probably wouldn't appreciate a direct mail letter or an email marketing campaign. So from that point of view, it's great.
All right. Okay, good. So when I attended the digital marketing show last year, there was all this talk about, big data and the power of harnessing social media, and mobile marketing
Mm-hmm.
is really the way of the future. And I know that you and Janine, you've mentioned that you all have this debate around the importance of it. So in 1 minute, you'll fire off that debate. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you mentioned it earlier. Fundamentally, the internet has changed the way that we shop and we buy, and mobile digital marketing is taking off exponentially. And apps, I think, are also quite important for businesses, which we never really covered. And I think it's going to continue to snowball. I think we can't ignore it. Love it or hate it, it's here to stay. You know, I say that about Facebook all the time. Everybody moans about it, but it's here to stay, and it's you know, a billion people can't be wrong.
And Lizzie?
No.
You're with the traditionalist. This is a traditionalist campaign, non-techie.
Yeah, well, interestingly, at the marketing show this year, direct mail is making a huge comeback. And with direct mail, now there's this new thing out that when you open it, your direct mail, it's actually got a video inside it.
Wait a minute. Direct mail, how? Through the post or?
Yeah.
Through the post? Hard?
Yeah, so it's like a hard cardboard. If you can imagine when you like an A4 brochure you're opening up, instead of it being paper, the paper on the front and the back, but when you open it up, it's actually got a video inside. So that's sort of, they're thinking of new creative ways to get people interested. As I was saying, 600 adverts a day or 600 messages we get in a day. So whilst I think online's great, people are coming up with different things.
All right,
all
so
the time.
You really are keeping your feet in the non-online camp. Is that I'm sensing?
Yes and no. Actually, on the tube on the way here, there's videos now on the wall. I don't know if you've seen them on the tube as you wait on the platform. Again, that's just a different form of marketing to try and get people involved.
All right. Okay. So I got a bit of research here there was an article in both the Metro and in the Evening Standard last Tuesday, the 11th of March, which says that research coming out of the US by IBM predicts a lack of around 1.5 million managers and analysts with sufficient technical and digital know-how. And it's this concept about, yes, in marketing you have to be creative and so on, but now because of the technological revolution, you have to be able to deal with statistics and analyze data and all this Google Analytics and all of that. So people have to get on board. How does the small enterprise deal with that? I mean, do you think it's not really a concern when you're on a small scale?
I think all the analytics that are around there, with anything, I also always recommend that you are able to measure what you do. And it is very difficult to get your head around Google Analytics or even Facebook Insights or anything that to measure how successful your campaigns are being. And also, if you mentioned Startup Sally, she wants to set up a business being an accountant. She probably doesn't have a clue how to look into these types of things because she's a numbers person. So for me, I guess that's why I'm in business, because I want to help people understand it and let them go and do the stuff that they're good at. And also, I think as a business owner, you mustn't forget that you can't always do everything. So sometimes you have to outsource. So for example, I outsource my bookkeeping because I'm rubbish at bookkeeping. Yeah. So it's finding people within your network that could potentially help you or support or outsource.
I'm amazed by the number of people that don't actually ask where their customers come from. That is the number one thing that it's free to do. So when someone rings up and asks for gives you an inquiry, you just need to ask them, where did you hear about me?
It's quite basic.
Oh.
A lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, I remember you asked me that with the Women in Business Network. Yeah. Where did you hear about us? Okay, great. So that's, unless you want to add anything else, I think that's where we'll wrap it up here today. Those were the tips, marketing tips for SMEs here on The Workplace. Thanks so much to my guests, Lizzie Phillips. You can find Lizzie on Cavara.net. Yes. And Janine Beattie. You can follow her on Twitter on @OptimumBizSup. That's BIZSUP. So if you find you're not really getting to the market that you need to, you contact both these wonderful ladies, Janine Beattie and Lizzie Phillips. And of course, Lizzie, your book, Lizzie Phillips's
Lizzie Phillips's Marvellous Marketing Manual, and I've brought 2 copies with me today. So if the first 2 people to email me will get a free copy of my book.
Oh, wonderful. And you mentioned The Workplace. Where did you hear about it? On The Workplace. All righty. Thanks so much to my guests. All right. So you've been listening to The Workplace with me, NND, here on Resonance 104.4 FM. This program airs live at 11:30 a.m. GMT on Thursdays and is repeated at 4 p.m. on Mondays. But of course, you can listen anytime you like by going to soundcloud.com/resonance-fm. Remember, we are a charity, so support us by going to resonancefm.com/support. Keep up with us on social media on facebook.com/resonancefm. Follow us on Twitter @resonancefm.